Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the conference for being late. I just messed up time zones. So just let me know, do you hear me, see me well, so we can start the presentation. Great, I got confirmation that everything is fine. So we can start with the presentation. Again, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Pro Dev Conference, Revision, and welcome to my conference. Start, I would like to say big thank you to all our sponsors and organizers who enables us to give this great conference today. I hope that you're not so sleepy because it's so early, especially in Belgrade and rainy weather. So I think that will be a good, great start of our days. So my name is Vladimir Stefanovic, and welcome to my session, How to Survive Black Friday Using Virtual Machine Scale Sets. We will learn a little bit more about scale sets and how we can leverage all cloud benefits from the scale sets, and why that is so important. Because the original, this conference was scheduled for the Black Friday dates, so and later moved to new dates. You can use virtual machine scale set to prepare your application for the next Black Friday or any other kind of unspecific and unpredictable workload. As I said, my name is Vladimir Stefanovic. I'm from Belgrade, Serbia. Work as a cloud solution architect in one Belgrade's company, Super Admins. I'm focused on Microsoft technologies. I'm Microsoft Azure MVP and Microsoft Certified Trainer Regional Lead for this region. Here is my Twitter handle. If you want to reach me, feel free to ask everything what you want. I would like to answer to a question if I know. So over the last years, I was completely focused on Microsoft technologies and Microsoft solutions, and have a lot of clients that exactly need virtual machine skill sets in Azure. You will learn why. So, because I work with so many different kind of clients, public cloud solutions, private cloud solution, because one of our companies is public cloud provider for the region of Serbia, for the companies who are not able to use public cloud like Azure and AWS, and we delivering infrastructure for the 10 or 15 the most important and biggest companies, online companies, Serbia, such as betting and gambling companies, news portals, advertisement companies, and so on. And of course, if they are on the Windows infrastructure, Microsoft infrastructure, that will be my responsibility and the responsibility of my team. So from my perspective, what is from the infrastructure perspective, really important for one stable application and reliable, and to avoid the client will call us or customer will call us in the middle of night why that it doesn't work, or during the Black Friday last week or week before, we had the issue that we contacted the client 10 days before Black Friday, and they said, okay, we expect bigger requests and higher activity, but we cannot add new servers. So we need to ensure that we have enough hardware resources, CPU, RAM, bandwidth, everything what's in the IOPS and disk, depends on what we exactly need for our application, because applications are really different. And we can give some amount of hardware resources to our clients, but if we talk about vertical scaling, we will definitely have some kind of limits. So support for the horizontal scaling in application is one of the most important things today, because we can't give 16 CPUs or 40 gigabytes RAM to application, but what if they need to increase their hardware resources? We can do that. It shouldn't be a big problem, but we have limits. And another thing, if one server fails, they don't have any kind of high availability. So support for the horizontal scaling is really important, because we can, if everything is configured properly, we can so easily add additional servers and add imbalancing, and that's the best possible thing from our infrastructure side, and with mixed with developer perspective side. We need to have really good monitoring from infrastructure and application. So if something is bad, we need to quickly recognize what is the problem. Is those kind of resources, maybe some DDoS, maybe higher load. For example, last year during Ignite, in the same dates, we had the Champions League match in Serbia, Red Star against, I cannot remember what other team was, and our biggest company from the betting sphere is our client, and they had so big unpredictable load, especially because Red Star played in Belgrade against foreign club, and they had really big problems on infrastructure during the 15 minutes in the halftime, because guys from betting company wanted to, and online betting wanted to put some bets on the game. So because we have really good monitoring, we realized that what was the problem, and we fixed that later because it was really unpredictable. And from the other side, application monitoring. Sometimes something from application can cause infrastructure problems, and we need any kind of application monitoring. There's a lot of application monitoring tools on the market. We can use Application Insight, we can use New Relic, Datadog, or whatever. And last but not least, CI/CD support. We need to somehow leverage DevOps philosophy and mix with our cloud platform and our cloud resources we started to use. So that's really good. And what cloud native services could help us? Yes, application services natively support almost all of those things I mentioned in previous slides. So we can have auto-scaling, application insight monitoring, everything could be automated. Client will be responsible only for deploying code. Azure functions, if we want to have serverless without any kind of infrastructure to manage. Containers as well, Azure Kubernetes service to automating and scaling containers. Service Fabric, and there is a lot of different type of services that we can use for our cloud native application. But what if we cannot use cloud native services? I have a lot of cases and scenarios and clients where I cannot leverage any of aforementioned services. What could be the biggest problem? So if application code is old and cannot work on newer platforms, frameworks, operating systems, or whatever, there is no easy way to move their code from virtual machines, regardless of whether it is IIS, Apache, Nginx, or something other. And we still have to use virtual machines. Or there's no budget for refactoring our application, but is pretty related with the previous statement. Or maybe we have custom written services, which is application dependency. I have a lot of clients with those kind of things. So they cannot use application services, even though that is my most favorite service in Azure. And they want to move their infrastructure to Microsoft Azure. They want to use Azure as their platform. Great. What we can use? Azure Virtual Machines or Azure Virtual Machine skill set. So if we use Azure Virtual Machines, that is pretty easy. Like we have an on-prem infrastructure or any other cloud provider, we are responsible for almost everything except of networking hardware and compute power. We need to maintain operating system. If we need scaling, we need to add new servers. We need to configure new servers, put in load balancer, everything what is needed. We cannot do it so easy. But if we want to leverage all cloud native features, we have to use Azure Virtual Machine skill set, which is the main topic of this course. Sorry, session, not course. So what is the virtual machine skill set? If you already played with the virtual machine skill set, you already know, but that is a logical group of virtual machines that should be disposable. We need to think about virtual machine skill set like containers and images. Definitely. We don't need to touch anything on virtual machine. We need to configure everything what is needed in an image and then spin up virtual machine skill set and later new instances and virtual machines from that image. Instances are deployed as a unit, similar to containers, but we are still on virtual machines. We can configure more things, especially if we use Windows environment and Windows operating system. And in a nutshell, that is a managed service that supports almost all cloud native features. That means we can configure auto scaling. We can configure auto healing if it's needed. We can use application insight for monitoring. We already have infrastructure monitoring. As you can see on the picture below, the text, we have one public IP address and load balancer. Behind that load balancer is a virtual machine skill set with numerous of instances. And we have managed disk that have to be the same. And storage account for diagnostics and many other things could be involved. So we'll see in demo how that exactly works and how that will be deployed. But in a few simple words, we need to have some kind of life cycle of virtual machine skill set. That directly means we have to create image with everything what is needed for that application. Even if we need to deploy coding in that image, distribute that image as a managed image or in shared gallery, or manage this, but I think that the best possible solution is to create shared image gallery and configure everything what is needed. And then deploy and later upgrade your virtual machine skill set from images that are stored in shared image gallery. And it is so easy to configure, especially if I say you that it's so easy, but you will see. And also we have integration with Azure DevOps if is needed. So many different combinations, but we can leverage Azure DevOps and GitHub to configuring base image and putting in our shared image gallery automated way. For example, when developers deploy code to commit code to GitHub account, parts will be started automatically and the new image will be configured. So I will show just the overview of Azure DevOps because we don't have enough time to cover everything. And yes, if it's possible and if you decided to use virtual machine skill set and have plan to improve your application and work on that application, have new releases until you refactor that and put in cloud native model, you definitely have to leverage Azure DevOps for maybe all process or just for deploying, configuring new images, and that's your own. So let's see in them how that will work. So we have to find out. I have everything prepared to save time, but we will go through the process of configuring and deploying. So at the first place, I want to show you, I have image gallery and have my simple application, learn Azure, into options for IaaS, for Nginx. To speed up process of deploying, we will use Nginx, and if we take a look on image definition, I can see that I have two versions, version 1 and version 2. And image gallery, I don't have enough time to talk about image gallery. It's a really good thing, so because you can use your image and put that image in all regions if you want. For example, you can see that my version 1 is deployed in 5 regions, but version 2 is only in 2 regions. So we will use North Europe region. That shouldn't be a big problem. So we have image. Image has been already prepared. So let's create virtual machine scale set. I will put ARM template and the parameter file in my GitHub account, and you will be able to download and use that ARM templates for deploying everything, because everything what will be configured through the portal is already configured in ARM template. So let's create a new resource group, IT Pro Dev virtual machine scale set. We'll put that in North Europe region, and we will create virtual machine scale set IT Pro. Availability zone, yeah. We want to have all instances will be deployed through the availability zones, especially because in North Europe we have availability zones. Even though we have option to deploy the brand new platform image, that is not the best idea. And even though we can reconfigure image later by connecting to the instance, that is not the best possible idea, because every new instance will be spin up from the same clean image. So we will use our image. That is so important. Select shared images, Nginx, yes. I don't want to use spot instances. I will use D2V3 instance, okay. I will use password. Instead of short key, okay. That's okay. Next disk, we will decide what kind of disk will be for the operating system. Do we need any kind of data disk? Okay, I don't want to add anything. What virtual network will be? So we can use existing, if there is existing network, or we will create new one. We will use to create new one. Subnet, that is okay. Next, scaling. When we talk about scaling, we can do that manually, or we can create scaling policy. Okay, custom scaling policy. We will deploy 2 instances. Minimum number of instances will be 2, max will be 5. And basically we will create from the CPU threshold. So if after 10 or 5 minutes, average CPU threshold on all instances exceeded 60%, one new instance will be added. If there is a lower threshold, low scale than 30%, in 5 minutes as well, decrease by 1. Great. How that will be scaled, balance across availability zone, that's the best possible thing. Or we can say, if some of virtual machines have to be removed, you remove all those virtual machines. So we want default settings. We can create upgrading policy. So not create, define upgrade policy. That could be manual, and you will see later what that exactly means. We need to do everything manually. Automatic. For example, if we have 5 virtual machines and we do something with 5 instances in the virtual machine scale set, if we click on automatic, all instances from the virtual machine scale set will be upgraded or re-imaged at the same time. That's exactly mean our application will not be available for our customers. That's not the best possible solution. Auto adoption is rolling, where we can configure how many in percentage instances can be upgraded at the same time, what is the pause between batches, and how that will configure. So I will do that later. By the default, there's enable over provision. What that exactly means? If we said we need 2 instances, Azure will start with providing more than 2 instances. Why? To ensure that we will be able to serve our customers as soon as possible, and the most probably 3 or 4 instances will be split up at the same time, and once the first 2 are up and running and healthy, all other instances which are still in creating will be dropped. So we will not pay nothing more for the over provisioning. We will configure later application health monitoring. Advanced, do we want to have more than 100 instances? Because 1,000 is the biggest number at the moment. Do we want to balance through the zones? What kind of algorithm will be? Do we have any kind of custom data, custom script, cloud init, whatever? Do we want to have placed, provide any kind of proximity placement group if that is so important for our application? And that is almost all, except one thing I forgot, because in the networking part, use load balancer. So if we have application that need to be deployed on more than 1 instance, we most probably have some kind of load balancer. We have 2 options in virtual machine scale set that will be configured automatically. If we click this, we can use Azure Load Balancer as an almost free option with smaller amount of features and capability, or we can use application gateway, which is a more complex, of course. Operating on layer 7, we have vessel offloading, we can integrate web application firewall and so many other things. But for this demo, we will stay on the load balancer because it will be deployed very quickly. So once we click create, review and create, and everything is okay, we will start with creation. But in the meantime, I will switch to existing virtual machine scale set, which I have to show you details. We will have almost the same thing when our scale set configured to the portal is updated, is deployed. So we can see that we have 2 instances in North Europe across the zones, how many full domains in use, what is the public IP address. So there is application, learn Azure, everything is fine. We can see some base metrics, pretty similar to the virtual machines. So if we take a look on instances, we can see that we have instance virtual machine scale set 2 and 3. Both of them are running, healthy, latest model, everything's great. And notification when instance returns 200, everything is okay, and Health Pro will say all good. Networking, we have some kind of network. If we use virtual machine scale set in combination with load balancer, we need to allow access to ports 80 for web access and 22 or 3389 for RDP or SSH if is needed. Auto scaling, like we have configured, if we have more than 60% of average CPU on virtual machine scale set in 1 minute, which is not recommended because some kind of spikes could be 30 seconds, 1 minute or more. The recommended value is 5 minutes. We will be increased by 1 instance, and 1 minute will be cooled down, which means in the next 1 minute, those kind of metrics will not be used as a reference for outscaling. The same thing is for decreasing, and everything could be reconfigured at any time. Switch to manual or whatever. If we take a look at operating system, we can see that image that is used for provisioning is from my image gallery version 1. Computer prefix is AZ VM. Virtual machine scale set, admin name, and I can put custom data, cloud image, whatever. Size, we have B2. Okay, if I click on B1 and click resize, our virtual machine, not virtual machine scale set, our virtual machine will be rebooted and will have smaller size. But if we talk about virtual machine scale set, we just need to know that there's a virtual machine scale set configuration, also known as the model, and instance model. So that's directly mean, if we take a look on instances, that virtual machine scale set 3 is right now B1S. But virtual machine scale set 2 instance is still B2. Why that is so important? Because I have configured rolling model that everything will be updated automatically based on health of instance. Every single change have to be deployed to virtual machine scale set instances. That will just reboot virtual machine scale set. That will not reimage. All your data will be there. Everything will be fine. Everything will be good. Because I have some kind of latency between instances. We just need to have some time more for all of those details are replicated to our instances. So that's mean everything will be done in automated fashion and on the most secure ways possible right now. So if you take a look on configuration, you'll see something that upgrade policy, sorry. We have manual, automatic, all instances will be deployed or reimaged or upgraded at the same time. We can see that our site is up and running. We don't have any kind of downtime because rolling model starts to upgrading one by one. In this case, because I have just 2 instances, because everything is configured as 20%. If we talk about 10 instances, 2 by 2 will be upgraded. How many unhealth instances I could have? Only 20%, and then everything will be stopped. And 20% of unhealthy will be upgraded by automatic. If we take a look at health and repair, by default, that is disabled. And if we want to enable, we can, in the first place, configure this one part, which says We'll install application health extensions, which will check HTTP or HTTPS or TCP or whatever additional probe on specific port, in this case port 80, and what path will be we check. That's by default because I don't have any complex application. So port 80 HTTP is fine, but for the real world, that is not the best idea. So the most probably we'll be able to create a separate page for testing, configure, whatever. And if we have response code 200 from that exact page, that will be okay. Once we configure that and upgrade everything what is needed, we can configure enable automatic repair, which is a really good thing. And say if some of instances is unhealthy in the 30 minutes, because that is the latest possible period. Yeah, I don't see any limitation in this pop-up message, but 30 minutes you're not able to speed up if set 1 minute the trigger templates. And everything will be automated. So we have our application up and running, everything is fine, everything is working, but we need to have new version of application. We just need to click on operating system. I talk about manual things. Change image reference, select my image gallery, select definition, and yes, it's really important. If you deploy virtual machine scale set as Linux operating system, you cannot switch that to the Windows and vice versa. And I want to use version 2 and click save. What we can see. Okay, at the moment there is still rolling in progress. Yes, we can see that instance number 2 is still under updating due to pause between those upgrades, and we need to just wait a few seconds more to complete this, so we can, yes. Now I will switch image, select gallery, select image definition. Okay. Sometimes Murphy's Law is not my best friend. Okay. Okay, because we need to wait some seconds more. Let's take a look on additional thing, Azure DevOps, and how we can leverage Azure DevOps, for example, for creating new images. I will not start that right now. Why? Or I can start to show you how that exactly works, because all process will last 35, 30, 40 minutes. And what is the initial plan and how that exactly works? We need to use image builder task, which is still unfortunately in preview but works, and say, okay, we need to have managed identity that image builder will use with the proper permission and resources that we need to have. What base image will be? In my case, for deploying, I selected Windows 2019 Data Center. Provisioning will be partial, and I have to use specific application folder in GitHub. In that folder, we need to have some kind of deployment script that is pretty easy to configure everything what is needed. So that kind of folder will be downloaded on virtual machine. In the folder build artifact with the application name, and I have deploy script which will just install IS and move all data to folder initpub www root. That's it. Storage account for the temporary use. I will put my image in short image gallery, in image definition, in North Europe only at the moment, and what VM size will be used for deploying instance for configuring everything. And if you take a look right now, okay, that's completed. If you take a look on research group and check research group, this one, and take a look on image gallery I have prepared for this demo. I have Azure Learn Windows definition, and I can see that I have two different versions. If I start right now with building of everything, okay, let's see, use pipelines. I will do that right now manually, but everything is configured. If developers not starting just to commit new code, everything will be automatically. So we can see some kind of log that everything will be started to work. We don't have enough time to do and follow everything. Let's back to virtual machine scale set and see how we can change our image reference, image gallery, Nginx, and I will use version 2. Click Save, and because the rolling model is already configured, we are able to see right now that one of our instances is updated and will be updated. Even though is that just update, I said just update, because we change reference image, everything will be re-imaged. So that means that instance will be dropped down and new one will be deployed with the same IP address, same instance name, and everything. And they will take us maybe a few minutes, especially because there's Linux instances behind everything. Even though I have the same thing in Windows, for the demo purposes, that will be deployment will be faster. While we're waiting for this one, I would like to encourage you to ask questions in chat, because I'm monitoring the chat right now, and hope that you have any kind of questions, if that is interesting for you as well. Of course, while I'm waiting for your questions and we wait for deploying this new image, we can check that continuous delivery could be configured through the action pane directly from the virtual machine scale set. So if we want to do that, we can select what repository will be Azure DevOps, GitHub, or whatever for our code, wall branch. Okay, they have an integration now. There is no branches. Okay, it's not possible right now, but okay. Let's try that. This should be a big problem right now. Okay. And I will select this one. Okay, I have to set what the organization rate and how build and deploy will be configured. We can do different methods. One of those could be adding a complete workflow for configuring a new image, reference image, and configuring a new deployment and upgrading. Or different one is configuring custom extension scripts for the virtual machines that will pick up new code from
build and put in all instances in scale set. So I cannot do that right now because I don't have prepared scripts at the moment, but there are two possible options. Back to virtual machine scale set to check what status is of. Yeah, we now see that one of our instances is healthy again and upgraded, and other one still waiting for their slot for upgrading. And yes, we have Learn Azure version 2 in our application because we got reply from instance that is upgraded. If we try to force refresh a few times, maybe we can got response from the first one instance that is not upgraded at the moment. So that will be everything for this demo, for this session. Again, thanks for the sponsors, thanks for the organizers, thanks for all of you for your attendance in this early morning session. I will be here for a few minutes and wait for any question if you have. Also, feel free to reach me on Twitter if you have any kind of questions. And yes, give me a second. I just forgot to give you information. You can find my GitHub account, conferences, and IT Pro Dev conference. There will be two files. One is the ARM template, and other one is a parameter set for ARM template for deploying virtual machine scale set using custom reference image. And with everything what have to be configured, health and repair, automatic reprovisioning, auto scaling, and everything what I have already prepared, because the scale set we look right now in this session is deployed using this ARM template with everything with what is needed. So feel free to test it. That will be nice to know how that exactly works in a production environment. Thank you, Anis.